Hey folks, this is the Nutty Knife Guy, and I'm going to be doing a review of the S&W Smith & Wesson SW7 tactical knife. Did a first impressions of it last week when I first got it, and I've been carrying it around every day on my belt for the last week, and everything I said in the first impressions has held up so far. But what we're going to do today is take it out to the war post, beat it up a little bit, and see how durable it is. Just to my normal testing and maybe a couple of other ideas that I may have. Yeah, so just introducing what the subject of today's video. The one thing I'm really upset about it, again, and it has held up since last week, is just the general feel of the knife. This is one of those knives that, although I like it so far as it is, I would pay twice, three times as much for this as if they would do this design with this grip and this balance in something like $10.95. Ooh, this would be a winner. But we'll see how what is it, 9CR17 steel holds up, and I will let you know. I will see you at the war post. Okay, we're out at the war post, and I'm going to bash it around a little bit, and after that I got some other things that I'm going to do with it. I'm going to be plan on using this as my primary personal protection knife, so I am going to put this through a little bit more of the paces than I usually do, because if it's going to fail, I need to know when it's going to. I want it to be now, and not in the extremely unlikely event that I actually have to use it to protect myself. So here we go, the Smith & Wesson SW7 versus the war post. Okay, well, to get good penetration into this wood, that's always good. I'm going to go over and get my cane. Just to see how this works. Okay, not so good in my left hand. Just an experiment. All right. Bit more bashing. Get some good solid thrust. See what this point can take. Okay, that one bit deep. Twist it around a little bit. All right, it's got a little kind of a skull crusher, glass breaker, nail driver, I guess you'd call it. But it's got a button. Looks like you could use it for striking. Let's see what happens. Oh, I caught my knuckles on the wood there, but shit happens, right? A little scuffing, but that'll buff out of there. So I'm not seeing any edge damage. Seems to be holding up on the edge pretty well. And the tip is fine. Location change, more to come. Okay, I've got a detergent bottle rigged up here in my high-tech testing apparatus. And of course these are a lot thicker than the water bottles you see most people cutting. And what I'm going to do here is try to stab through it and pierce it and then rip it out. I don't know how this is going to work because I really don't have it secured very well, but I'm also going to try to slash through it. I'll do that first. If I can slash through this with this edge, it'll probably go through just about anything in the real world. Now, this is not a heavy knife and it's not a long knife, so it's not going to have the weight and leverage that I think you need. I'm not sure I'm going to get through, but I'm going to try and slash, and then I'll do a stab and rip. Okay. I got through towards the end of that slash. Let's try that again. And I got a little bit through on some water there. One more time. Okay, didn't get through it all on that one. But I did get all the way through it on the corner, mostly on the corners here. But that's pretty impressive for a knife this light and for this knife this small and this light. Okay, let's try penetration and rip. Okay, I'm going to let this drain out and then I'll bring it over and show you. So you can see here, if I get it in frame, there we are. You can see there, that's the slash and rip. That's where I skinned my knuckles. That is a pretty impressive wound, and you can see I went through both sides of it when I ripped out. And here is where I actually managed to get, it's hard to see now, but here along the corners I did actually slash through this thing. Here, that one's more obvious. You can see where I got through it. Move that paracord. So actually pretty impressive for a $33 knife, I think. Get set up and we'll try one more thing. We've got to make our vampire deterrent after all of that, right? Now this is a little thin for a vampire deterrent, but it's what I have on hand. So it's hit the war post. It's gone through with a thick detergent bottle. Now let's see if it still cuts. It's still passing the thumbnail test, so this shouldn't be bad at all. Nah, I'm going to have this thing nice and pointy in no time. There we go. The tip stops breaking off. We'll have it nice and pointy anyway. There we go. That's not bad for all of that. It's holding its edge quite well. Not quite as pointy as I'd like. I guess I'm funny that way. But the end of that keeps breaking off. Anyway, pretty decent edge retention after all of that. I shall return for one more test. Alright, folks, kind of got caught in the rain as I was coming in from my testing and my hat got soaked, so you're going to see my glorious head of hair. But as for the knife, final thoughts is I still like it a lot. Now, I am noticing that it did lose some edge from when I took it out. I hadn't sharpened it. It was nicely sharp out of the box, past the thumbnail test, and it's still decently sharp. I'm going to make sure this isn't anything that I actually need. It's still decently sharp. It should do the paper test pretty well, but it did lose some of the edge that I had on it from testing. Now granted, I was slamming up against wood. I did some whittling with it, and I punched it through and slashed at that thick, hard plastic bottle. And this is not high-end steel. It's not the worst steel in the world, but it's certainly not the greatest. Not entirely surprised by the loss of a little bit of my edge. But I don't mind sharpening knives. I actually enjoy it most of the time. So I'll touch up the edge on this and it'll be fine. This is basically a fighting knife. You probably could do some light camp work with it. Maybe even a little bit of prying or something like that. But it's a tactical knife. It's intended as a last-ditch personal protection weapon with a little bit of utility thrown in. And for that, I have every confidence in it. You know, I'm not going to use this for like super heavy bushcraft or anything like that. Not what I bought it for. Not what it's designed for. But if you're in an area, if you're police or military, and you don't want to spend a fortune on, you know, an oh shit, everything else is used up personal protection tool, you could do a lot worse. This would probably work for you. If you're a civilian and you're legally able to carry something like this for personal protection, absolutely, it will not fail you. As before, when I talk about my personal protection knife, my personal preference is not to use it for anything else. I practice with it, I sharpen it, I carry it, and in a 1 in 10,000 chance that I have to protect myself with it or protect my loved ones with it, it's ready. I carry a separate knife for utility work, and I also carry a multi-tool with me every day. So this is not going to be used for anything but personal protection, and for that I can say that this knife is perfectly adequate and actually very, very good for the money you pay for it. Yes, it's made in China. Yes, the steel is, I believe, 9CR317, 9CR17 MOV, I think. You'll see a card with all the specs on it in the video. Well, actually, we'll have seen it by the time you get to this part of the video. But yeah, I don't mind. I like this knife a lot. I have every confidence in carrying it and that it will perform and do what I need it to do. If God forbid I needed to do that, you know, I actually need it for personal protection. I don't have a problem with it. So there you go. It's Smith & Wesson SW7 tactical knife. Actually, I found a place after I paid $33 for it. I found a place for $25. Is it Is it as good as my custom-made knife that I showed, the ultimate fighting knife I showed you? That I designed myself, and it's made out of 5160 steel? No. But it's lighter, it's slimmer, and I can carry it. And I will be carrying this for my personal protection knife until I can have my another custom made that I designed for that purpose. And that will probably come in February or March. Until then, this is it, and I have every confidence in it. So remember, draw your knives only in just purpose. Sheathe them only in honor. And remember, without knives, life would be dull and pointless. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I bid you goodbye.